Welcome to Let's Get It Bean, Atheist Roundtable. That was terrible. Let's do that again.
That's the mic, what you doing? What up with Eddie? Why he studying on your murder? I don't get it. He lost his shit. The whole case to murdering. Now pause. You paused. Everybody tell him that he's a lost cause. Who's that?
What up, mob?
Half Christian ass. Always talking this.
Rock on.
Talking that. Benji on the epistemology. You got claims, got beliefs. What's your confidence? And is it relevant? Nah. Just Jeff. What's next? What text you gonna put to the test? Put to the test. Control face weasel on TikTok, looking like a beetle juice. And what do you do when a member of your crew sits in a shed with the dead? I don't know what's up. Anybody seen me jump? now the newest member of the crew. The TART debut. Here's your preview. It's K Nabs. She says she's the live stream queen. Welcome to the team. Yeah. Welcome to the team. His faith and reliable pathway to truth. Hey, yo, are we going on a deep dive?
Jesus in the morning. Welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. We got to do something that makes me laugh every time we're going into the intro. Welcome.
Well, you give us such good.
Yeah, it's on Brute Facts on YouTube, or the Atheist Roundtable on YouTube. It's live.
What's going on, my man?
Just enjoying life. Good day. We're almost into a new year, so we can get the hell out of 2020.
Oh, for the love of their God, can we get out of 2020 already? The death trap that has been 2020. Yeah, it's been an interesting year, but I'm looking forward to it. And we did create a New Year's Eve a stream for everybody. More than likely, probably make it an open stream. I haven't decided yet, but I've had a lot of people contact me, said, because of COVID and everything, they really don't have anywhere to go, so they're going to be at home. So we'll do that, see how it goes. We keep it up, for a while, see people show up, we'll keep it up. If not, we'll take it down. So, and then the Conor McGregor fight on the 23rd. Again, email me, austin@tart.live. If you want to do that, we're gonna pay for it. We're gonna host it via Zoom or Google Hangouts or something like that, so we can all watch it together. Anything else, Jeff, that we want to mention before we get into it? I don't want to waste a bunch of time.
Let's get into it. I want to see Sweaty Eddie sweat.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll bring them on. We'll intro the two contestants here, and then just Jeff and I will get them away. But here we go. We'll bring them on screen. Eddie, Mike, what's going on?
What up?
What's up,
How are you guys?
everybody? How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Ready to rumble.
Good. Well, I won't waste a bunch of time. But real quick, we'll start with Mike here on my right side. Just tell everybody. Obviously, your name's Mike, but where can they find you? Anything you got going on that the viewers need to know about?
Yeah, so my name is Mike. I'm on TikTok, as many of you probably know. I'm an atheist. I recently became atheist about 5-6 years ago. And I love being on the show. I've been on the show for a few times. And let's just have a great debate. Let's do great. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. And Eddie, so nice thing is Mike and Eddie, I think everybody's probably pretty familiar with their faces on the TART platform so far. But Eddie, real quick, tell everybody where they can find you, anything else you got going on that they need to know about.
Yes, they can find me. I've got my own podcast now, thanks to TART. Yeah. Brute Facts podcast on YouTube Live. And I usually simultaneously stream it on Facebook, and I'm on TikTok as Pasta's Secret Weapon.
All right, so I'll lay out the format, and we'll just get to it. Let you guys wrap. So it's going to be on the contingency argument is the topic for the evening, and then the way the format will look, it'll be 10-minute openings for both of them, and then we'll go into a 40-minute open discussion. And if everything's going good, we can go a little longer there. There's a little leeway there, but we'll start at 40, and then we'll end with the Q&A at the end. So if you have questions, I would recommend that you save them towards the end, because within our streaming platform, if you ask them early, they disappear after a certain amount of time. So if you do have questions and you want them asked at the end, save them, and or the super chat is activated, and those will pop up and we can keep those. So Eddie, I believe you're going first. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, give me 1 second. We're going to get Jeff and I off screen here, and then you guys can rock and roll.
All right. Yo, ready to rumble?
Yes, let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it, baby. So I'm presenting the contingency argument. The contingency argument is actually part of a group of cosmological arguments, and it's typically put together with other cosmological arguments. So this formulation I'm using is part Josh Rasmussen and part Cameron Batuzzi. The version of this one is premise one: necessarily every set of contingent concrete objects possibly has an explanation for why it, rather than some other set of objects, exist. That doesn't mean that the contingent states of the affairs actually have explanations. Premise two: let L be set of contingent objects in the actual world. Possibly has an explanation for why it, rather than some other objects or set of objects, exist. If one, then two necessarily follows. So premise three is no contingent object in the actual world could explain L, which is set of contingent objects in the actual world. So this relies on what is called modal logic. And modal logic is in the form of if P is necessary, then it is also possible. When we talk modal logic, we're talking possible world semantics. Or logically possible worlds. It's a form that's valid and it's accepted and used in epistemic circumstances. It's called epistemic modal logic, also in moral, which is called deontic logic. And and it talks about necessity and possibilities. So did I get three? Oh, no, sorry. Premise three, going way ahead. Premise three: no contingent object in the actual world could explain L, which is the set of objects. Premise four: if no contingent object in the actual world could explain L, and two is true, then L possibly is explained by a necessary being or beings. If L is possibly explained by necessary beings, we'll say N exists. And again, this relies on modal logic. If the set of all contingent objects in the actual world is explained in some possible world by N, then given S5 logic, N exists in all possible worlds. Example, the actual world. So if N exists, then God exists. So how do I get from N to God exists? Well, this necessary being or beings has to be infinitely powerful. As Swinburne says, the finite limitation of power cries out for an explanation in a way that limitless does not. So, for example, if N, God, has X amount of units of power, why not X plus some or X plus more? So X seems contingent. However, no explanation of X outside of X. So given one, there's a contradiction. So the solution to the contradiction is X is infinitely powerful. It also, X or N must also have volition. And as Swinburne points out, that there's two causes, science and personal. And science usually explains contingent things. So it doesn't appear to be a science question. It appears to be a personal question. And then given Occam's razor, there's no reason to posit more than one being. So that is the argument in a nutshell. And I will look forward to your rebuttal and see what questions we had to follow.
Okay. All right. So I didn't honestly. I was kind of confusing. I guess the way you worded it, but I understand what you're trying. I understand the argument. Basically, whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore, spaghetti monster exists or causes the universe. But so the argument for contingency, theists love this because they think there's some science behind it, and because it seems like science, right? But in actuality, it's not even an argument. It's just useless hogwash because it's unable to produce any actual. There's no demonstration of a first cause, or that's basically what the argument is trying to aim at, right? There's a first cause, therefore the first cause was God. So it's really not an argument. It's not an honest argument at all. You're not looking for truth when you're making this argument. You're looking for excuses to just continue believing in your made up God, and that's very obvious.
So what you're saying is you can't rebut the argument. Then you're just going to just shoot out pejoratives, and you can't rebut it. Thank you for that, Mike.
Now, hold on. On the openings, each person gets the opening.
Yeah,
that's not really an opening, but okay, I'll sit back.
Okay.
All right. So just sorry. So
my
I
bad.
stopped the clock.
Yeah, my bad.
I stopped the clock on the openings. Respect each other's time. Then we go open dialogue. Then we can dig in.
Sorry about that, Mike.
Okay. Well, the counter, and now we're going to get into that. That's why we're here, right? But essentially, what I'm saying is nothing we know of was actually really caused nor began to exist. There's no demonstration of that. And we can get into the details later. But even if you could demonstrate that the universe had a beginning and had a cause, that still wouldn't get you to a God, let alone, your God that became a zombie and can talk to people and, cares about what you do in the bedroom. But, for example, let's. I'm gonna get into this now. Basically, time itself. When you talk about causation, you're assuming that things are caused in time. So, but in actuality, we really don't know what time is. The universe really is a mystery, and I think that's what we're gonna get. We're gonna show you here that the theist position is to assume things, right? The atheist position really is, I don't know. We don't know how the universe got here. We don't know if there is a first cause. We don't know. Because time itself, like Stephen Hawking says, time itself could very well be an emergent property of the universe itself. Perhaps before the Big Bang, there was no time for the universe to be caused in. And like I said, there's a lot of mystery to the universe. We are still trying to figure it out. We really don't know. And this argument is really a big pile of assumptions. But we'll get into the details later. And last, I want to leave with this, my opening with this. Basically, humans, the way humans are, we love to be egocentric. We love to think that the universe has everything to do with us, that it was made for us. And but when we started looking at the Earth from, for example, Voyager, the space probe, we realized how small and fragile we are. When we looked at the universe with the Hubble telescope, we saw all those billions of galaxies out there and all those trillions of galaxies. That we found that we really exist in this small dark corner of a tiny galaxy in the middle of nowhere, basically. In the grand scheme of things, humans are not very significant compared to the vastness of the universe. So we'll get into that more if you'd like. But that's basically my opening. So let's have a great debate here.
Great. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Both of you finished in plenty of time, so I'm not even going to worry about that. The stopwatch is done. So we'll go in. What's not done? I got to do it for the opening. My apologies. So as soon as I leave the screen, I will start the clock, and you guys will get it in. Just remember, at the Atheist Roundtable, we keep it respectful. You can disagree.
No, I apologize for that. That was unfair.
You're good. But just remember here, it can get heated. You can disagree. You can get passionate, but we're going to be respectful. Okay. So it is what it is. So I will, as soon as I dip out here, I'm gonna start the clock.
Okay. So basically, nothing you said rebuts anything in the argument that you threw up a bunch of red herrings. Nothing even affects. It doesn't rely on time. It's a metaphysical argument. Doesn't matter whether we understand time, what theory of time you use. Nothing you said affects the argument. So do you
Okay.
do you have a
So,
rebuttal to
let's
the
go into
actual
detail.
argument?
Let's get into detail. First of all, what do you mean by cause? What do you mean by causation?
Do you
example?
When you ask cause, I mean you're asking for literally. I mean there's you have efficient causes. You have you know you got personal causes. There's causes that we look at as science. There's actually several different avenues of thought when we think about causes. So in the general sense, do you think things just pop into existence?
No, but I think that's what you're saying.
No, that's not. No, that's. I literally just laid out a whole argument about how we are in a contingent universe, and the contingent universe can't explain itself. So it has to be a necessary something afterwards. And then I went on to explain why that necessary something has to be a powerful deity.
Okay, can you demonstrate why the universe is contingent on something?
Demonstrate? What do you mean demonstrate?
Yes. How do you know? How do you know?
Do you understand possible world semantics?
No, I don't know what that is.
Could the universe have been different? Could we have had it with one? Could there have been a universe with one less star?
Maybe. I don't know. Do you know?
Possibly. I'm asking, could it possibly be with one less star?
I don't have a degree in physics and stuff like that, but I would.
It's not physics.
It's possible.
No, this is reasoning.
I'm asking you a very specific question. How did you determine that the universe is contingent on God?
I just laid out the whole argument. But do you think the universe could have been? Did the universe have to contain Mike?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm asking you, how do you know?
So then it's possible it's possible. It's possible there could have been a universe without Mike.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. You just granted my premises. The argument's solid. Okay, there you go.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah,
I'm saying it's possible.
Yeah,
Maybe.
you
I don't know.
okay. You understand now how we came to the conclusion that we did, because it's contingent. If there's one possible world where something is different than where we're at, then the universe is contingent, and you just granted that. That's what contingency is. You have contingent beings and you have necessary beings. Necessary means it couldn't have been otherwise. Contingent means that.
So let's start from this example. Did I cause this phone to exist? Eddie? Did I cause this phone to exist?
What do you mean by cause?
I'm asking you, did I cause this phone to exist? I'm trying to understand what you mean by cause.
Cause and effect. Simple cause and effect.
Okay. So did I cause this phone to exist?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Do we have anything is there any demonstration of something causing something else to exist? Do we have any demonstration of that?
Yeah, the Apple factory created that phone. They caused it to exist. It wasn't a phone before they made it. They made it, so now the phone exists.
Okay, now we're onto something here, because the parts that make up the phone, did they also come into existence, or did they exist before it? Did the metal that exists in the phone, did that exist before the phone, or did it just?
It existed before the phone. Yeah, right.
Exactly. So the phone didn't just pop into existence. Apple just assembled different parts of previously existing material and put it together into something that we call a phone, but doesn't mean it was caused to be into existence. Right. That's not what it means. And that's your argument.
No, that's not my argument. That's not even close to what my argument is. I'm not even saying how it was done. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that the universe is contingent, and if the universe is contingent, then the universe couldn't have caused itself. So, and we can't have an infinite set of contingency. So a necessary something is what caused it. I didn't say how it was done. That has nothing to do with my argument. It's a total red herring. So the whole purpose of the argument is just to say that we live in a contingent universe. All things in the universe are contingent, and contingent things can't create contingent things forever, then we have an infinite regress. So there is a necessary something. Even Tom Jump realizes that, and he calls it the necessary particle or something that we haven't found yet. Because see, this isn't a science question. You're trying to attack it from a science answer, and it's not. It's metaphysical, and it's philosophy. It's reasoning. It's not science.
Okay. Let me ask you this now. What do you mean by metaphysical? What is that?
Metaphysical is non-physical.
Okay, and what is that?
That would be metaphysics is what encompasses all non-physical things. That would be the study of being itself. That would be epistemology. All of these different types of the study of knowledge. All these different things are metaphysics. That's what understanding abstract versus concrete. All of that is under metaphysical. It's non-physical things. Do you believe non-physical things exist?
I don't know of anything I don't know what non-physical is. Everything around us is physical, even our thoughts, even epistemology, even mathematics. It's all physical things.
Physical in what sense?
Hey guys, real quick before I jump in. Maybe, Eddie, if there's a way, maybe you can read and not go through the whole opening statement, obviously, but maybe a way you can rephrase what you said in maybe a simpler format. That way, you and Mike aren't talking around, passing over each other. Maybe that would help.
Okay. So, all right. In a nutshell, we live in a contingent universe. You've already granted that. And because it's contingent, you can't have an infinite regress of contingent things. There must be a necessary something, like a terminator that stops the contingency. That's where we come up with the necessary something. Now, we don't make a leap from that to God. It could be a necessary some things, more than one. So that necessary something, the way we get to God is through it being infinitely powerful, having volition. Once you put those together and then you apply Occam's razor to it, then it should only be one thing and not multiple things.
Okay, I understand the argument. Okay. Hopefully that helped the audience as well. But now you said infinite regress, there's an issue there, but how did you determine that infinite regress is impossible?
Well, infinite regress is it's in theory, infinities can exist in theory, but not in practice. If I told you to take off walking for an infinite amount go walk an infinite amount, there's not a beginning and there's never an end. So in reality, an infinite can't exist. It exists in set theories and things of that nature, conceptually, but it can't exist in reality. For example, infinity plus 1 is what? Infinity. Infinity minus 3 is infinity. That's a contradiction. Or infinity minus 1 is infinity. It's a contradiction. It's something that can't exist in reality.
Well, sure it can. I mean, even the top scientists in astronomical physics, they show you that it is possible. In fact, they think that the universe...
Can you demonstrate that? Can you demonstrate that it exists?
Yes, we can.
No, can you demonstrate that it exists? Just like you asked me. Can you demonstrate that it exists?
Yes, through mathematics, through physical equations, we can show that
infinity is possible. What physical equation?
You can go research it. I don't know the
exact equation, you're making a claim, and you're asking me to support my claims. I'm asking you to support yours.
Okay, well, just because I don't know the exact equation doesn't mean it's not true. There is research.
No, you're right. It doesn't mean it's not true. But I mean, I could sit here and say, go research it, go research it, go research it. I could sit here and not explain the argument to you until you need to research modal logic and S5 logic and how it all works and just be done with it. So then you're going to walk back the claim if you can't support it, right?
Okay, let's grant you that the universe did have a first cause and that it was a God. Now, how do we get to the Christian God?
That's a red herring. It has nothing to do with this argument.
Okay, so you're not arguing for that?
No, I've never said that.
Okay. So now let's go back now. Do you think that the Big Bang was the first cause of the universe? Or do
That-
you think
That's irrelevant to this argument.
so? How was the universe caused?
By a necessary being.
How? So
That's
you're
not
you're making a claim here. You're making the
right, and I
the
supported
largest
my
claim of
claim.
all.
Yeah, and I supported my claim.
What's that?
I'm not making a
What's that?
claim. I'm not making a claim of how physically the universe came into existence. I'm making a claim of what is responsible for it.
Okay. And how did you determine that a God was responsible for it?
Using reasoning with the argument I just laid out to you.
Okay. And I just pointed out that the argument hasn't been at all demonstrated to be, any of the premises have not been demonstrated to be true.
Actually, I have given you premises and supported them, and you haven't defeated
Okay,
a single one of
go,
them.
all right, let's go one by one. Let's do the first premise and attack that.
Necessarily, every set of contingent concrete objects possibly has an explanation for why it, rather than some other set of objects, exist.
Okay. So now let's go into detail now. What do you exactly mean by contingency?
It could have been otherwise.
Okay, so
Instead of, let's say,
so,
real quick, I have a pen. This pen's blue. Okay, it's a possibility that this pen could have been white, red, purple. So the changing of it means that it is contingent. It's not necessary. Necessary means it had to be as it is, and there's no other way it could have been. It's the same thing in all possible worlds. There's a possible world. This pen is blue, red, green, because it doesn't affect of what this pen is.
okay. So you're saying just because the universe could have been different, therefore it had a cause, so that it's contingent on something else. Is that what you're trying to say?
It by definition, if it could have been different, it's contingent. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you understand how the multiverse works? The multiverse theory, the quantum theory of quantum, many worlds interpretation of quantum theory. Do you understand how those work at all?
Yes, and that has nothing to do with this argument.
Okay. Yes, it does, because the universe could be different. There could be many different universes out there, each without a cause. Universes could be spontaneously popping in and out of existence.
Can you demonstrate
with
that?
The theory.
Can you demonstrate
Yes,
that? You can
yes.
demonstrate that.
Yes, through the mathematics. Look, just
What
talk to Sean
mathematics?
Carroll. He is
What mathematics?
quantum theory. It's all in the mathematics. It's theory, right? I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying it's theory, but there's other possibilities out there I'm trying to put forward, and you're just assuming that it must have been, the God or whatever.
No, I'm not assuming anything. That's what the argument's for. I laid an argument out with the premises. That's not assuming anything. It's coming to a conclusion. It's a deductive syllogism.
Okay. Now, didn't you say though that that it must have been a supreme being that did it, that caused it, right?
Well, I did lay out how we get to a powerful being, yes. But no, I didn't go from there's a necessary something to a powerful being. I didn't make that leap.
Let's get into that then. Let's get into this being that caused it. What is this being like?
For the argument, he's powerful and has volition, and it's one.
Why?
Because of the reason that I laid out. He's infinitely powerful because... Did you listen to the argument?
Yes, I did. I just want to know why you came up to that conclusion.
Because if he had a let's say we measure his power in a certain scale, right? Well, that scale plus a little more means that property would be contingent, so we have a contradiction. So the only way to solve the contradiction is he's infinitely powerful, because otherwise he would be contingent and he's a necessary being. A necessary being with contingent properties is a contradiction. He has volition because we have two overall meta causes, and that's going to be a personal cause or scientific cause to it. So science can't explain how contingent things exist, and it can't show that there is an infinite regress. So then it had to be a personal cause, and using Occam's razor, it had to be one and not many. There's no reason to posit many when it could have been one, or is one.
Jeff, what just happened? You're muted, buddy. I can't hear you.
You talking about the debate, or you talking about the clip?
Either.
Totally confusing.
Either.
I'm convinced that the cosmological argument is existence purposefully to waste 2 hours of everyone's time.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So to the clip, ultra confusing. But whether it's I'm not picking on Eddie, but whether it's Eddie or anyone,
I don't get it. I don't.
Yeah, I don't.
It's like saying, like, for me, it's like saying, hey, I know this to be true. Go ahead and accept that. And then all these other things are dependent upon that. And therefore, it's God. Because I'm not convinced that the universe had a cause or came into existence in the way that they're claiming. So I think that if we could maybe get some clarification on how we know the universe had a first cause, that would be something that would be a great clarification, because I'm not convinced that it's a cause. Now, the other thing that I'd like to ask too, and because I've heard this argument quite frequently, and they think that it proves something, I would like to know a similar philosophical argument that it has been used to solve something real world problem. Like, I want to know another truth statement, that a real world demonstrable truth statement that was solved through mobile logic.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what I was going to say, going back. And just for all the viewers, Eddie and Mike knew that Jeff and I would probably jump in and out here just to kind of break it up, have some fun, and give them a chance to get a breath, get a drink of water or whatever. So that was not unexpected for them. So we're not being rude.
But I will say on Eddie's side, Eddie's got a strong point when he asks for demonstrable evidence. I don't think Mike can just say math. We do need some sort of demonstrable evidence. Eddie's got a point there. So, right now I've got the round kind of tied, when it comes to that, which is the same as 0-0. Let's not say 1-1, 0-0, because I have no idea what argument I'm even refuting at this point. It's almost been made to be intentionally confusing to encourage a chat about the argument as opposed to what it's trying to prove, which is, in its essence, a God claim.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up, because I did. You and several other people said that okay, Eddie has a point here, and that was, not to be redundant, on point. So if we were scoring it like a boxing match or an MMA match, I would say at this point we're at a draw. And what I would say is for both parties to try to be a little more clear, a little more concise, and maybe make it a little easier to digest,
right.
Maybe.
Is the goal, Eddie, to help us understand the argument, or is it to help prove a God? Like, what is the goal to that argument? One, and then let's talk about this first initial cause, because I think that's what's missing. Like, how do you know that this was caused? And then Mike, I get your stuff with the other universe and things like that, but we need some hard evidence here that for those claims that you're making.
Yeah, in the multiverse, and I'm by no means a professional or close to that in that regard. But from what I have read and others that I've listened to, I don't know that even applies to the current conversation.
It might,
and that's what I'm saying. Could prove me wrong, but I don't I don't find the link. But
I don't get the alternative outcomes. Like, if this pin could be a different color, therefore there must be a cause. Right. I don't understand it, but I have a double-digit IQ, so
this is what we do know that you and I both heard, so we can both attest to this. So backstage, before we started, Eddie wants to run his fingers through Mike's hair, and Mike wants to run his fingers through Eddie's beard. So that's how we started this debate backstage, just so everybody knows. But without further ado, we'll bring these gentlemen back on, and we shall proceed.
So let me make some clarifications. Okay. Jeff, This is not a first cause argument. It does not matter the mechanism by which the universe came to be. This is not a cosmological argument in the sense that there was a first cause. And what I mean by the contingent or could otherwise be, and there is possible worlds where certain things could be different than what they are. Okay, so if it could have been different in a possible world, then that means it's not a necessary thing. That means it's contingent. There's a world where it could have been different. So this argument is not for the first cause of the universe. It's not even to say how the universe came into be. It's just to conclude that because we have a universe of contingent things and the universe is contingent itself, it could not have caused itself nor have always been. So that's how we get to a necessary something. Now, that necessary something has to be powerful because one, it created the universe. Two, it's if we the only power we can get to is if we just say that he has set amount of power with it being a necessary thing, then you can't have a contingent amount of power. It follows necessarily that the power must be infinite because it is a necessary something. It couldn't have been otherwise. So that's how we get to a powerful something necessary. And then the volition part of it would be the universe exists, and at one time it didn't exist in its current form. And as far as science goes, we can get back to maybe a quantum vacuum, quantum foam, something of that. But it doesn't. The quantum foam itself, we don't know about it. It's contingent itself because the quantum foam could be different. If we look and to get to that necessary something or some things, we see that it has to be powerful. If it's necessary, and there had to have been some type of volition to for the initial expansion of the universe or the universe that exists, because it could have been otherwise. And using Occam's razor, we would stick with just one necessary, powerful intentionality, which is what we would call God. Now, that doesn't get you to the Christian God. That doesn't get you to the Muslim God. It doesn't get you to any of that. It gets you to an infinite, necessary something that is responsible for the non-necessary universe that we live in. Clear as mud?
Okay. Yeah, and to clear up with Jeff as well.
Hey, why are you throwing me around?
So the theories I'm throwing out here, the multiverse theory, I'm not saying those are factual by any means. I'm just saying those are possibilities that have been shown to be possible using mathematics and stuff like that. You say yes, you can argue that they're irrelevant, I guess, but I thought he was arguing for first cause. I didn't know. I thought that's what the argument for contingency was, but I guess not. So the only problem I have with Eddie here is how did you get to infinitely powerful? How did you get to an infinitely powerful God here? How did you get to that? Exactly.
Not trying to be rude, Mike, but I've explained it 3 times. It's God, the necessary something that has to be, because the universe is contingent, had to have infinite power, because if the power wasn't infinite, then it would be contingent. It could have been different. It could have been more. It could have been less. So if it's a necessary something, it can't have contingent properties. So the power necessarily follows that it would be an infinite necessary power with the necessary being.
Okay, so
okay, let me clear. All right, let me try one more attempt. Since the universe is contingent and could have been otherwise, the necessary something can't be contingent or have contingent properties, because then it's contingent, and we're just going back further.
I understand that. Yeah, I understand that. but I want to know how you came to that conclusion. What if the thing that caused the universe wasn't infinitely powerful? Why does it have to be infinitely powerful? It
Well,
could very well have not been.
it'd be a contradiction then.
What if there is something? Like, why? How? Explain it to me.
Because if it's necessary and it's non-contingent, it couldn't have a limited power that's contingent. So you have a direct contradiction. So it would either have to have no power or infinite power.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, what if our universe isn't the only one? There's multiple other universes out there. Ours just isn't. It's not. It's just an average size universe.
Well,
And
we're just
yeah,
pushing
go
the
ahead.
goal. Yeah, well, then we're just pushing the goalposts back because
No, this is a possibility, is it not?
it is. Yes,
That
it is.
there's other universes.
It is a possibility. Absolutely.
So why? So when you say it's necessary, that's the question. That's the issue I have. Because when you're saying it's necessary, it doesn't make any sense. It's not. It's not necessary because there's other possibilities that you're counting in.
No. The multiverse itself would be, first of all, there's zero evidence there's a multiverse. Second of all, if the multiverse did exist, each of the universes could have been different. So they're also contingent. You're just pushing the goalpost back. We still need a necessary something. We can't just have a whole bunch of universes and say, oh, they just all exist. That's basically question begging.
Okay. Well, first of all, there is evidence of a multiverse.
No, there's none.
It's not-
Zero. None. Zero. Zero.
Yes, there is.
No, I've studied this for a while. There's no evidence for it. There's none. It's theoretical physics. They just try to answer certain questions of reality and science with the multiverse, but there's zero evidence for it.
Okay, there is evidence.
There's not.
There is
Provide. So theory is evidence to you.
There is evidence in theory. Yes.
No,
There's evidence in theory.
Yeah, the theory is not evidence. What evidence makes up the theory?
Exactly. Physical, mathematics and stuff like that. Inflation theory.
Well, I'll set aside the fact that you said that mathematics is physical, but
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No. This is important. It does matter. It absolutely matters. What evidence is there for a multiverse? What tangible, testable evidence is there for a multiverse?
Okay, just because there's no evidence doesn't mean it's impossible. It's very possible there's a multiverse.
Okay.
So
thank you.
I'm trying to get to understand why you think it was a god that must have done this. Because why does it have to be a god? It could have been something physical. Very well, could have been something physical. It doesn't have to be a super powerful, amazing god.
Something physical. So, what would you call this physical?
I don't know, but I'm asking you why you think it must be a god.
Well, you're saying why I think it must be, and I'm not thinking it must be. I literally laid out an argument in a deductive form that's valid and obviously sound because you haven't defeated a single premise.
Eddie, I understand the argument. I want to know what the evidence of the argument is. What's the evidence behind it all? An argument is not evidence. Would you agree?
Absolutely not. You don't believe reason is evidence?
That's not reason.
Yes, that absolutely is reasoning. Yes, that's what an argument is.
Reason, okay, just by reasoning something doesn't make it evidence of anything. I can say, hey, it's possible that
hey, Mike,
that's not evidence of uniforms.
Are you talking to me right now?
Sure, yes.
Where's the evidence?
Of us right here. We have the actual footage. We can record it. We can watch it later.
Really? So you think that's evidence? You think so? How do I know? How do I know that this isn't some computer simulation and you're just being projected that I'm here talking to you?
Okay, so now you're getting into absolutes. I don't.
No. This has nothing to do with absolutes. This has to do with reasoning. Have you reasoned to the fact that you're talking to me right now?
Yes, based on the evidence.
What evidence? Your perception?
The best available evidence I have.
Your perception?
Can you let me talk for a second? I have the internet here, right? I have a connection. I have your face on my screen. I have an iPad. It seems to be evidence that we're talking.
Okay, so perception then.
Yes, that's my perception, but it is, as far as I can tell, it's everybody else's as well.
How do you
There's no evidence to counter that?
Can you give me your perception? Can I see your perception?
Why does that matter?
Because you have reasoned to the conclusion that you're talking to me without using scientific method or any of that. So yes, we absolutely use reasoning for evidence every day in our life.
No. Okay. So if I said unicorns exist, here's an argument because the universe, because it's contingent. Unicorns are contingent things, so therefore they exist. Would you agree with that reasoning?
No, that's not even close to my argument. No.
It is your argument.
No, it
You're
isn't.
saying-
It is not. Not at all.
Okay. So let's get back to the argument here. Why? I want to know exactly why you think it must be God. That's all I want to know.
You can call it whatever you want. I don't care what you call it, but there's a necessary, powerful, single thing.
So you just admitted that your argument makes no sense because
No, I did not admit that.
it could be anything. Right? You just admitted that.
So you want to? No, I said you don't have to call it God. You can call it whatever you want. You call it the spaghetti monster, but it's still God. I mean, it doesn't matter what you want to call it.
So what is God? What is that?
In this argument, God is the powerful, single, intentional, necessary thing of contingent universe.
And how did you determine that? I just want to know the evidence that you're using to justify that answer.
Well, you keep saying evidence, and you're looking for. It's like you just you toss philosophy and reasoning and all of that out the window for just so you want physical evidence of God.
Any evidence at all.
Well, you've already admitted you don't think reasoning is evidence, which is ridiculous. But so what other evidence is there?
Anything that could demonstrate or verify that your God is real. That would be evidence. You
literally tossed out reasoning as evidence. So apparently there's not your kind of evidence.
Well, reason, I can say, I can reason that the universe had a first cause, and therefore that universe, the first cause was unicorns. I can say that. That's not evidence of the unicorns.
Yeah, there's nothing to support that either. There's nothing to support those claims.
So then what supports your claim?
Bro, we're going in circles, man.
That's what this argument is.
No, see, the issue is you didn't do any preparation whatsoever for it. You don't understand the argument, and now I'm having to explain simple, basic concepts because you didn't even prepare for it. Because I shouldn't have to explain the stuff I'm explaining, and I shouldn't have to do it 6 times.
Eddie, all you have to do is show us the evidence of your God, and we can end this right now.
Show that. Here's the evidence. I laid out an argument. You can't refute God exists. You literally have not refuted it. God exists.
Go ahead.
You've admitted by not being able to refute the argument that God exists, and I appreciate it.
Okay, so what's the evidence again? I'm sorry.
So here's how it works. If you have a valid argument, a deductive syllogism, if the premises are true, the conclusion necessarily follows. You can't dispute the conclusion. You can only dispute the premises, and you haven't disputed a single premise yet. Therefore, the argument is valid and sound. So God exists by your own admission and inability to defeat the argument. You can laugh all you want, but that's what arguments are for. That's how we come to conclusions in science also, believe it or not.
No.
Yes. Yes.
We come to conclusions in science by looking at the best available evidence, the observational evidence we have, putting it to the test, and testing it, using experiment with it to get. That's how we get conclusions.
And so when you
say it must be real.
So when you present the evidence, how is it presented? This, therefore that. Therefore, here's the conclusion. That is exactly how it's presented. It is literally in an argument form, right? Yes. So you are accepting the conclusion based on an argument, but you're refusing to accept mine.
But it has evidence. The argument has evidence behind it That's why I'm asking you for the evidence of this infinitely powerful God.
I just
What is
supported everything. Mike, here's the problem. Okay, you're talking about, you want physical evidence. You won't say that, but that's all you want is physical evidence, because I've given you evidence based on reasoning, and you've rejected it just because you reject reasoning as evidence. So I can't give you physical evidence of God in the way that you want it. However, that's not my problem. That's the fact you're stuck in a circular reasoning mindset, because you think that we need physical evidence for everything that we believe, and that's just not how we live. That's not the truth, and that's not the way that the world works.
So can you just give the actual evidence of your God? Instead of, I want to know why you think that your God is infinitely powerful. Can we get to that? Why is your God infinitely powerful? What does that even mean? Can you explain that?
Because it'd be a contradiction if the necessary first thing wasn't infinitely powerful. Because if it wasn't infinitely powerful, because if it's not infinitely powerful, then the property of having power would be contingent, which is a contradiction with a necessary something.
So just because it's contingent, that means it's infinitely powerful? So that would
No,
mean
because there's a
everything that's
contradiction.
contingent.
No, because there's a contradiction. If it wasn't.
You're saying because it's contingent, that means it's infinitely powerful. I want to know, if everything else is contingent, then that means everything else is infinitely powerful.
That doesn't follow logically. No, that's not what it means.
All right.
Neither does your argument.
Here's what I'm going to recommend, because we have, as far as the 40 minutes is concerned, the open dialogue, we had about 10, 12 minutes, something like that left. This is what I'm going to recommend. Stop. Here's what I'm going to recommend. So, Eddie, you started with the 4 steps. 4 steps, right?
Oh, it was actually 6 premises, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. The 6 premises. If we can, and don't spend, you can't spend an hour on it, but take, and we'll even say the next 15, 20 minutes. We'll kick it out a little more. I think what's best right now is go through each step, and don't breeze through them. Go through each step and try to find grounding on each step, because I think what we're doing is we're trying to take all six premises and trying to lump them all in one. And I think that's why we're hitting this constant log jam. So that's going to be my recommendation.
What do you mean taking them and lumping them into one?
Well, instead of trying to chisel away or pick each one apart, we're just saying here instead of 6 different premises, it's just like, here's one premise, we're going to attack the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's what I was asking him, which premise. That's what I was saying. The conclusion follows necessarily. If he has a problem, it has to be with one of the premises.
Okay, and maybe that's the case. That's what I'm saying. Maybe we should rewind, slow down a little bit, and take maybe 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes per. And I know that doesn't do it fair justice for all the viewers. I understand that, but take 5 to 7, 8 minutes, and at least chop away at those. And if we need to do this again, we can once we get a little more clarity. But I think that's going to be the most productive thing for you guys and for the viewers. So let's try that.
So we'll start with premise 1. Necessarily, every set of contingent concrete objects possibly has an explanation for why it, rather than some other set of objects, exists. Do you have an issue with that premise?
Go to the next one. No, I don't.
Okay. L will be the set of contingent objects in the actual world. L possibly has an explanation for why it, rather than some other object or set of objects, exist.
Okay.
3, there's no contingent object in the actual world could explain the set of contingent objects that are in the world. So if no
okay,
go ahead.
There's a problem.
Okay, what's the problem?
It's saying no contingent thing. How do they know? How do you know? Do you know everything about the universe? Could there be something that is contingent that may not explain?
So if L includes the all contingent objects in the world, then L can't explain L, is what the premise is saying. So if all the objects in the world are contingent, then they can't be explained by the set of those contingents, is what the premise is saying.
Why not?
Why can't the contingent objects explain their contingent properties?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, because they're contingent, they could have been otherwise. So you're just moving. I mean, we're not at a necessary something. We haven't got to the foundation of it. We're just still going. So if they're if they're contingent, they could have been otherwise. So they can't explain all contingent objects.
I'm trying to understand. Just because something may have been otherwise, that means it didn't have an.
It has to be something.
Existence?
Well, if all contingent objects in the world are contingent, then something outside of that has to explain it. It can't explain itself.
Why not?
Because
maybe there's something that isn't not contingent in the universe. There could be something.
That's exactly what my argument's saying. That there is something non-contingent that explains the contingent facts.
Okay. Okay, get to the next one now.
All right. If no contingent object in the actual world could explain the set of contingent objects, and 2 is true, which you agreed is, then L possibly explained by a necessary being or beings, which is referred to as N in the argument. So if there's no contingent object in the actual world that could explain the set of contingent objects, and 2 is true, which is the possible explanation for why it rather than some other object, which we agree. If that's true, then there must be a necessary being or beings or something or somethings. So 4 is just coming down the argument to put all of it together. It just says that if all of these if this set of objects is contingent and they can't be explained by themselves or another contingent object, then there's a necessary something. So 5 would be if L is possibly explained by this necessary something, then this necessary something exists.
Okay.
And this is relying on modal logic. This is how this is modal logic, and it's using S5 logic. So in all possible worlds, if it exists, then it exists in this world. So if N exists, the necessary foundation, then I go from there to God based on the something having to have infinite power, volition, and using Occam's razor, just a one foundational something. And that's what we call God.
Okay, so why does it have to be one all-powerful being? Exactly.
Well, I mean, using Occam's razor, why would we posit more than one?
Because there might be other possibilities out there.
Do you believe in Occam's razor? The simplest answer with the greatest explanatory scope is what we should use.
Can you? Okay. Why should we use that? Why must we think it must be God, though? Why?
I don't care.
Why is the most probable explanation?
Yeah, I don't care what you call it. There's a necessary. Infinitely powerful, intentional foundation of all contingent things. I don't care what you call it.
Okay, so what if I call it a cell phone? What if my cell phone calls everything in existence?
That's possible? Then you can call God a cell phone. You got to understand that's
you're missing.
Right.
Missing it, Eddie.
Right. Listen to me, okay? That's why I started it out with saying that the contingency argument is from a group of cosmological arguments, because it's not one argument that gets you to the God that most people call God. Okay, that's not what this argument is for. This argument just shows there is a powerful, intentional, necessary foundation of reality.
It doesn't show that. You have not shown that there is an all-powerful being that caused the universe.
Right. So you can keep saying that, but if you can't defeat the argument, then absolutely it does show that.
I agree. The argument makes sense, right? It makes logical sense, but it hasn't been shown to be true in reality.
Okay, well,
We haven't shown that there's an all-powerful being.
yeah, there's
You just admitted.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me speak for 1 second. You just admitted that we don't know what this is. It could be anything, right? It could be a cell phone. It could be unicorns. It could be leprechauns. It doesn't get you to God.
Right.
It doesn't even get you, let alone the Christian God. It doesn't get you to any God. It just gets you to something, which I agree. There may have been something that has caused the universe, but we don't know what it is, and there's no need to know what it is.
Okay. You just admitted that the argument is logical, it's valid, it's sound, so there's no sense in even really going anymore. So
I want to know how it gets you to God.
yeah,
right?
because it's valid and it's a valid and sound argument. That's why.
Eddie,
You just admitted that.
Eddie, aren't you a Christian? Don't you believe in God?
See, that's called a red herring. When you try to make the argument that I'm presenting go further with other questions that has nothing to do with this particular argument, which is the argument you agreed upon. Now, if you wanted to debate on the existence of God and the God I believe, that you should have stated that. But that's not what this debate's about. It's specifically on the contingency argument. And you just admitted that my argument is valid and sound, so there's no sense in even really going anymore.
So, okay, I thought you said that. I thought when you agreed to this debate, you said that it'd be about God.
No, I'll show you the messages. I specifically said the contingency, and you said yes.
Okay. So let's talk about God now. How does it get you to God? Let's talk about it now.
That is a whole nother.
It's a red herring, right?
Yes, absolutely, it is. It's I would have to say you are asking me to go through a myriad of arguments for God because you didn't prepare for this one and understand how a debate works and how an argument even works. So it has nothing to do with this.
Well. As Michael Scott said on my favorite classic TV show, The Office, how the turntables have turned.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think, Joe?
I don't want to say it, but I think I got this one. Eddie 1, Mike 0 right now. Eddie, I don't like your argument, but that's all I'm going to say. That's that, That's all I got.
Yeah, for the record, I love Eddie and I love Mike, but that last part there kind of nailed it down. So right now we're one nothing Eddie. Yeah, it's all still to me it's still a love you, Eddie. It's still a terrible argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of the snide comments back and forth. Like I could do without all that. But
Eddie doesn't stop. He just keeps going.
But if we're just as far as who's validating their position, their argument, I have to say, Eddie, 1-0. So this is what we're gonna do. We talked about having or not having a closing, but I think it's only fitting, given the way it kind of developed there the last 10 to 12 minutes, that we do a final closing with each person on screen by themselves. That way they're not interrupted. And Eddie and Mike, you'll give you 5 minutes, and I'll have the clock ready. So when I pull you up on screen, I'm going to, as soon as you start to talk, I'm going to hit the stopwatch. And if you're still going, I'll jump in and interrupt you. But you can give your final closing statement to close it out, rebut, whatever you feel that you need to do. But I will, Eddie, I'll bring you up first. So give me 1 second, and it's time to rock and roll.
Oh me, oh my. So I apologize first of all for the kind of rudeness, but there's there's a lot of background to this. Mike likes to talk a lot of shit, and he's real arrogant, and he made a lot of videos, basically talking mad trash. So yeah, I have little patience for him, but overall, I respect him as a debate opponent, and I appreciate him for coming on here. And as far as Oz goes, uh, as there's a what I was talking about Oz, or what I tried to make clear is there's not a single argument that gets you to God, and this is a group or part of a group of arguments. And I even gave Mike the choice to choose the topic, whatever he wanted to debate. And when I asked, well, jokingly, how about the contingency argument? He accepted, and I was like, there's no way, that he could defend or defeat the contingency argument. And I knew that was so. So just in his arrogance to accept so quickly and nonchalantly, that's why we went with the contingency argument. It is a very technical argument, absolutely. It is a pretty solid argument for a necessary foundation of reality. I may not have done the best at presenting it, as this is the only second debate that I've done, but I think that I've presented enough to at least, question whether there is a necessary something. And then this idea of evidence, that you have to have physical evidence for, to count it as evidence, is ridiculous. Reasoning is absolutely evidence. We use it every single day in our life. The the task is to balance out reasoning and balance out empirical evidence. That is, knowledge is something that we gain through it's a multifaceted approach. We're a species that uses intuition, emotion, perception, all of our senses, our mind, our reasoning faculties. That's how we come to knowledge. There's not a single way of knowledge. There's literally tons of epistemic theories on how we know things. And believe it or not, in philosophy, not everybody agrees on these different things. So I think he was very, very not prepared, and I kind of expected that. If he wanted a debate on God in general, then he should have stated that, and I would have brought multiple arguments and not just one. However, this is the one that we decided on. I apologize if people had problems following the argument, or like I said, I didn't present it or well enough. But I think it's clear that there should be at least a little bit of humility on his side, and maybe spend a little more time preparing next time he challenges somebody to a debate, because he did challenge me. So I appreciate it, Oz. I appreciate it, Jeff, Pasta, Steve, all of you guys for having us on here. This opportunity to have the debate, and that's it. I'm finished.
Hey guys, so yeah, I just wasted about an hour of my life. I can't get it back, unfortunately. I thought he was going to talk about God, how he gets to God, but he admitted that it doesn't get you to God. It doesn't get you to God. The contingency argument, I agree, it's logically sound. I understand that. It doesn't get you to a God, let alone the Christian God. That's the point of this whole conversation. I thought he was going to argue for God. He obviously did not do that, so I just wasted 2 hours of my life. But hopefully we can debate again about God this time, because that was an awful, awful thing. I just wasted my time. But so the whole point I was trying to get to is that, yes, we live in this universe. We don't know why. It's a mystery. We don't know if there was a first cause. We don't know that, let alone this cause was a God, or was a Christian God. We don't know. It's really that simple. But I want to debate. If you will accept my offer, I want to debate Eddie again as soon as possible about God, because I just wasted my time here, and I think you agree that it was a waste of time. So,
Because you're arrogant.
maybe sometime next week we can debate again about God. Does God exist? I'd love to do that again. That's really all I have for you guys. Hopefully we can see you soon. So that's it.
All right. So
Question time?
we're close here. So before we say anything else, if you guys have questions for Eddie, for Mike, and even there's absolutely no reason to have questions for myself or Jeff. But if you happen to have them, you can ask them. But I prefer you keep them. Yeah, same here. I'm not answering questions. It's about Eddie. It's about Mike. We'll do that. And I'm waiting to see there might be a certain character popping on. Might be a certain character. So
that's exactly right. Watch.
So at the end of that, it got a little heated, Jeff. Got a little heated. Shit talking about shit talking.
Well, I challenge Eddie to a debate over his favorite menu option on his new selection winter menu.
I want to know what's the favorite soup and salad combo? What's the favorite? We need to know. We need to know, Eddie.
Which menu option is the best? And can I get my check
now? Like right now. No, but while we're waiting, this one will go down as far as the more.
Asked me to clarify 15 times for sure.
So far. But I think usually that leads into more productive ones later because you kind of figure each other's styles out. Mm-hmm. So that's the positive side of it. Now we do have a couple more debates coming up. Just so everybody knows, on the 2nd we have Randolph. Randolph, the atheist. He's an atheist. He's going to be debating a gentleman named Zach, theist, on the existence of God. So I know sometimes people say, "Oh man, that's boring. I've heard it 1,000 times," but I never get sick of hearing.
Yeah, it's live on TART. I got it simultaneously streaming on my
that, and then I don't remember
Brute Facts podcast on YouTube also.
Live. Randall has another debate with Randolph with Gavin, and they're going to actually debate the 10 Commandments, which I've not heard that debated.
Debate like they're true or not true, or what?
Yeah, how they apply to our society today. That kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to that one. I think that's a good one.
Does anybody know any of the 10 Commandments besides don't steal?
I mean, you and I probably do.
Yeah, but it's always funny. I love asking Christians what the 10 Commandments are. They're like, well, don't steal, don't take God's names in vain, no adultery.
Yeah.
Like, what else? What are the other ones?
And don't worry about the first 3 or 4 where it's all about God.
Yeah. You're welcome, Bob. I appreciate you coming and supporting me on there, buddy.
I'm working on another one as far as dates is concerned, a big one, a 2-on-2. Then we have the 6 member panel that's going to discuss and debate who was Jesus or who is Jesus, and just a couple to name off real quick. Godless Engineer, Jason from Dragons and Genesis, and our homeboy at TART, Captain Dadpool, will be part of that discussion, and we'll
he can't type, by the way. His kid took his keyboard. He wants to say comments in YouTube. He can't, so he doesn't have a keyboard, guys.
There's no comments on the captain.
Feel free to attack Dadpool at this point with no, issues.
Thanks, bud. I appreciate that.
I smell something.
Really,
yes, it smells like. Oh my God! It smells like a dead carcass. Oh yeah, I just heard.
It's.
So the murder.
I might take the debate with him. on the argument
So
for
if you have
God,
questions,
because
now's
it's
the
actually
time
a
to ask.
series of arguments. It's
Murder Shed
a,
Steve, everybody,
you know,
is on
a
his way.
case of
And we'll introduce him
accumulation.
here, shortly. So if you have questions for Eddie, you have questions for Mike, or anyone, let us know, and we'll make sure that those get asked. I did see some earlier, but they do get lost in the chat here in StreetYard. I'm not gonna lie. So the best way right now at this point is to super chat. And I know people are like, well, that's how you get money. Yes, that's how we get money. But it's also how you make sure it rises to the top. You get to see it.
Everything costs money in this world. Don't be surprised.
Yes, and I'm gonna get.
Sorry.
Yeah, and Wintershins, I did see the super chat up there. We'll make sure we get to that as soon as the murderous one joins us. We'll make sure that that's one of the first ones that gets asked to the fine gentleman that we're debating tonight. And why? Oh, that must mean he's close. Yikes! So.
Lock your doors.
I want to bring these guys on screen real quick, and I always have to ask this question. So, Mike and Eddie, just yes or no, no explanations, just yes or no. Have you ever actually been inside a murder shed?
No, Steve scares me.
Mike, have you ever been inside of a murder shed?
He's one of those nice,
Yeah.
but
No.
Well, hello, everybody. Now, I got to say, I have something really important to say. After a long, hard day at work, I just love to pick up my TART Stadium Cup and taste the delicious nectar of the non-existent gods. It tastes so much better out of this cup. I don't know what it is. You can pick them up at tart.live. How's it going, everybody?
fantastic. If I survive this, do I get one of those cups?
You can't.
You'll
You get access to purchase one.
All right.
Yeah,
Exclusive
Yeah.
access to purchase one.
And if you want freebies, you got to work that out with the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Oh man, he doesn't listen to me anymore.
Crying
I'm doing it right.
Yeah, I'd say that's exactly right. No true Scotsman fallacy.
Take a drink.
I don't know if it's ever been demonstrated that a true Scotsman exists.
I'm not a true Irishman, but
Irish and Scottish are far different.
yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's what the Irish tell me anyway.
That's
I don't know if there are any true Scotsmen.
Well,
in any case, I have a question right off the bat for Eddie. You know how X is a placeholder in algebra for an equation's conclusion. Is the X in the problem of life God?
I kind of zoned out when I saw algebra. It's
Well, listen, just because you don't understand the argument, Eddie.
That's you're touche. Is the X in the problem of life God? I would have to ask what the problem of life is, but if he means that people who want it, answers for fundamental reality and I'm sorry, you don't ask philosophers this question. Yes, I would say yes if I'm reading it properly.
Okay, so X equals God.
Yes, yeah. The problem of life is X.
Hmm.
X equals God.
So when the equation X equals 0, that now disproves God, and you've already agreed to the premise that X.
That's
equals
right.
God.
You just destroyed me. You have single-handedly destroyed God. That's it. We're done. Wrap it up, baby. We're done.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Stephen Ford has a question. Please read the super chats.
Oh,
I feel like we have just demonstrated that we do.
Well, Steve needs to drop a super chat.
You need to put that in an argument, Steve.
Argument equals X.
If we
you
read
guys
super
read-
chats on the screen, then we read them. We read it.
Was there a necessary cause?
Therefore, we read them. There we go. Yeah, straight off the top of my head. It was necessary. Yes.
Could the chat have
I've
been
got one.
different?
Go ahead.
If we read super chats, God doesn't exist.
We read super chats. Therefore, God doesn't exist. That's a good one, Steve.
Yeah, not a fallacy at all.
It's valid.
Atheist Frank has a question for Eddie. How do you assign characteristics to a non-contingent being?
You know, that's actually a very good question, Frank. This argument doesn't go that far, but it would be, we would have to deduce it from reality ourselves. That's where metaphysics really gets going in understanding the ontological status of things in this universe. So, Christians use the moral, or well, not just Christians. A lot of people, theists, use the moral argument. Universal abstracts like math and logic. And so we can use these things that can't be accounted for in nature to come to a conclusion of what possibly the characteristics are. And there's special revelation to the Bible.
Can we come to a conclusion, or are we coming to a hypothesis or an idea?
Yeah, I would say, yeah. It's often referred to, ontologically as the God hypothesis. So yeah, you can draw a conclusion from the hypothesis, but yeah, there could be other hypotheses. Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Good clarification, Steve.
Well, thank you.
You guys are on fire tonight, man.
I just took a nap. I was very tired. I was swinging my axe all day. It's been ridiculous.
Oh, I can't do those no more.
I got a question for Eddie from Mark. We're getting a lot of questions for Eddie.
Oh, Mark.
Do you deny the young Earth creationist view? Is it because you hate the Bible?
Yes, because I bend God's word to fit my narrative. That's why.
Don't we all?
Like Jeff said, I pull out the stuff I don't like and I follow the good stuff.
I call it Christian fan fiction.
I call it using your freaking brains.
Yeah, but we come to different agreements. We come to different conclusions.
Yeah. And
so people used their brain and came to the conclusion that creationism and a young Earth creation is true.
Yeah, it's because of the way they approach it. But yeah, there's a lot more behind it, Jeff. I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Oh, this is so good.
What kind of blood is that?
I've got another question from your local atheist for Mike. Do you deep down believe in God?
No, he hates God.
So I don't know what you mean by God. That is a very poorly defined concept. To me, my personal opinion is that there is no God, especially the Christian God. I think God is a completely man-made concept that makes no sense in reality. I think it's just a good thing for people to just believe in because it makes them feel comfortable, and that's it. I don't believe in God at all. I don't believe in any metaphysical thing or anything like that. There's no evidence of that stuff. I believe in what the evidence can show and what the evidence can verify. That's it.
You should look at the psychology of non-belief too. It's not a one-way street.
What does that mean?
The study in psychology on atheism itself. There's actually a large number, according to certain studies, that are angry at religion,
Okay.
and their motivations is they find I think about 40%, the last study I was reading, that they actually find comfort in there not being a God. So
I'm angry at religion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's not really
I don't claim that there is no God.
Yeah. I'm just saying in psychology, it goes both ways. It's not a one-way
Sure that
street.
if you were in a church and some very difficult emotional things happened to you, and you left that church because of that, you probably wouldn't want a God to exist that ignored your pain and suffering in church.
I agree 100%. Absolutely. There's been a lot of times in my life of pain and suffering I didn't want God to exist.
I just don't want to live forever.
As Tupac said, the worst thing that could possibly happen is to be born again. Reincarnation.
Oh shit! Here we go again.
Hey, man, that's one of the greatest philosophers that ever lived. Don't hate on Tupac.
No, Tupac was definitely ahead of his time. I've got another question for Eddie. Sorry, Mike. Richard Matson is wondering if you would debate him on the Bible does not demand God created the universe. And then he also tagged Oz because he loves you, Oz.
The Bible does not demand God created the universe. I don't think I made that claim.
Oh, but he wants you to debate it.
Oh. Okay. We'll see about that. Yeah. I ain't afraid of no man.
Okay, cool. He accepts. Email Oz, Austin@tart.live.
Atheist Frank would like to know what kind of beard oil you use.
Oh.
Is it anointed oil?
Yes, by
he gets his oil from the mosque.
yeah, I don't think they're allowed to use oil. I think that Mike would be happy to know that it's vegan consistent. It is Everyman Jack beard balm or cream.
A crema?
Awesome.
Creme. I love you, Frank.
I've got a question from J. Mike. Another one for Eddie. You're a popular guy or a very confusing person?
Yes, I think it's the confusing part.
Do you find it an issue that we can only argue a priori?
A priori. But a priori is knowledge that we have before like arguing, and then afterward would be posteriori, I believe. Post. So I don't believe that we only have a priori knowledge. I think using deductive syllogisms and reasoning shows that we come to it posteriori, not priori, whatever. You get it.
Well, and even with that a priori, does it also cause an issue that it doesn't establish your specific brand of God?
No. I think one can come to, as I've said on here before, if I wasn't convinced to buy the evidence for Christ and resurrection, then I would be a deist or just a classical theist or something like that because of the cosmological arguments, the whole set, with the fine tuning, contingency, kalam, all of those. I think that there's something, that's responsible for this reality.
Or some things.
Occam's razor, Jeff.
What is Occam's razor?
Occam's razor. It's what's used in science. You use the simplest explanation that has the most explanatory scope. So if one does the job, there's no sense in positing more.
Well, we don't know that one does the job.
Occam's razor, Jeff. We don't know that. And when you start talking about no, I mean, what do you mean by no? Okay, so what theory of knowledge are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
That's what I thought.
I'm just asking questions. Trying to figure out what the hell you're talking about?
When you say no, you got to understand that there are multiple theories of knowledge, how we know things. There's not a specific. So how we know it, I would say through reasoning and using Occam's razor, not adding more ad hoc explanations or things to it that's unnecessary.
Well, I just don't think we've established that there's one yet. I'm not adding more possibilities in to make it more confusing. I'm just saying I don't see the difference between multiple and singular.
Just Occam's razor. That's it. I mean, it's why make it more difficult. It's you go with the simplest explanation.
Razor on your head. Keep going.
Hey, man, I'm an Occam razor your head. Take that off video. That's a recorded threat.
Would like to know if I can tell everyone my favorite person to spoon, who is no longer with us. Pasta Mike, Pasta Mike, Pasta Mike.
He knows it's me. Oh, I wasn't supposed to tell anybody, was I?
It's Benji.
Oh, I would go with that too.
I know, right? Wittershins. I don't know if this is more of a question or a statement, but it has a Q in front of it. By the way, Shannon Q, I saw you in the chat there. I don't know if you're still there, but you've been confusing me throughout this entire Q&A section. Okay, so you're going to have to make that up to... the debate early on seemed to be, does physicality cause metaphysical ideas, or do our thoughts create our reality? Anybody want to field that topic at all?
Physicality calls.
No,
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
I was just trying to ask. So Eddie said, "Oh, metaphysical exists." I asked him, "What do you mean by metaphysical?" And he didn't really answer.
I did non-physical. It's the study
Again,
the study of
I asked you
being itself.
What is that?
Under your understanding, nothing non-physical exists, so I couldn't get you to understand it.
So how do you understand it?
I explained it. It's a study of non-physical, the study of being itself, what contributes to the physical.
We'll talk about that next time, Eddie. We'll talk about it next time. Next debate. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, that's about all the questions that I can find here. Thanks for do you have one?
Yeah, there's one from probably up there. From conservative Christian, I think his name is. Soul Scripture.
Do you have the timestamp on it?
Just read the
actually,
question.
I was going to say, yeah, you can just go ahead and read the question. I do have.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, go ahead and find that. I've got another question I got to field real quick here. Stephen Ford, question for the mods. Why is my question about reading super chats on the screen instead of reading super chat? If the super chat was earlier, it was probably off the screen time we were able to get to Q&A. So if you want, if you want to repose the question as a non-super chat, I will pop it up for sure. There's a super chat right there.
What? What?
It's just a random super chat.
I don't know what that means.
If Occam, then only one can be responsible for evil. Okay.
AKA God is evil.
There we go.
Ergo, vis-a-vis, concordantly.
Evil is a privation.
Where our questions get questioned.
So I think somebody had a question about
here.
Oh, there it is. I see it. Stephen Ford's question. I see it.
Yeah.
It's like eight back. It says, why would anyone... Yeah, there it is.
Need to defeat the contingency argument. Why should one care about it?
Yeah, Eddie.
Well, the purpose of a debate is to present an argument. Shut up, Jeff. The purpose of a debate is to present an argument, and then the opposing person defeats it or destroys it or whatever. To defeat the argument itself, if you don't have a refutation to it, then you're conceding that there is a powerful, personal, necessary foundation to reality. So that's the reason you would want to defeat the argument. Otherwise, it stands as a fact.
No.
Yes.
No, not at all.
Sound logical argument, but not all sound logical arguments are true.
Sound, yeah, sound valid. Yes, once you put sound in there,
valid.
It is no. Valid has to do with the structure of the argument. Sound means it is a solid, airtight argument, which means you have to accept the conclusion. That's the way.
It sound?
Yeah. Well, nobody here has made it unsound.
Yeah, but that's a fallacy in itself.
No, it's not. No, it isn't.
No one can disprove it.
I didn't say that. I said no one here has made it unsound. There are objections to the argument.
But you think it's sound because the three of us couldn't disprove it?
No, I think it's sound, period. I don't think
Okay.
any objections stand to it. But yeah, I mean, it's unless an argument, the way it works is you have premises and the conclusion. If the premises are true, the conclusion necessarily is true. You can't dispute the conclusion if the premises follow. So you can attack the premises. And if you show one premise to be not supported properly or an error with it or something like that, then the argument's not sound. But
I have one that we can get into later that we can see if you think is sound.
Okay, what is it, baby? Is it just you and me?
He said we'll get into it later.
We'll get into it later. I don't want to waste everybody's time talking about an argument that's ludicrous.
Which is probably the best thing I've ever heard out of Jeff's mouth before in my entire life.
And my mic.
Mike. Yes.
Yeah.
Mike, did you want to field that question? I'm sorry that we kind of made you wait on that.
Yeah, I can't see the question, but I think he was talking about reasoning isn't evidence. And I just want to clear this up. So, yeah, reasons themselves are not evidence. They can explain the evidence, but what Eddie's doing is making a claim. He's making an argument that he gives the reason for it, but he doesn't have the evidence to back it up. So that's what the position is here, right? So I agree, his reasoning is sound, right? But there's no evidence to back up his conclusion that he's making, that it's God.
So you think he's made a sound
hopefully
hypothesis?
next time we can get into that.
Right. Well, that's what the debate was for. You're
Yes.
supposed to attack it so it isn't sound, but you were unable to do that. So it does follow necessarily.
So next time we'll talk about your other arguments for God. Okay.
But are you saying, Eddie,
Because
that
obviously,
are you trying to
Yeah,
say
go
that
ahead.
you're not trying to make the case that it's true? You're just here to try and let somebody else make the case that it's not true?
No, I made the case that it's true. When I present something and say, this is it, here is the reasons and the evidence that I have, if you can't counter that, then it is true.
Maybe, well, what if he's just not good at the debate and we just need someone else?
Oh, well, that's fine. Then it needs
Not
to be
saying
somebody
I'm,
else.
like, arguing against Eddie.
There's 5,000 questions on here. Wants to know how tall Mike is.
Let's get to the real question.
That's what I've been kind of
Is
trying
there a
to do.
necessary cause for Mike's height?
It could have been otherwise.
I'm like 5'8".
Really?
Yeah, bruh. See, don't hate on
Yeah.
us.
Maybe it's because of the angle of the camera. Maybe I need to angle my camera up. Then it'll make me look taller.
Yeah. So when's our next debate, Eddie?
Don't know. My calendar is filling up fast.
9'2". The fuck are you
Okay.
talking about? 9'2"?
What?
I don't think if you put Mike and Eddie together, they equal 9'2".
Oh.
Oh, yeah, and we did field that question from Stephen Ford. I'm just making sure that we got to that one.
He has another question.
That was the contingency argument. Where's that other question, Jeff?
It just popped up.
Oh.
The debate holds.
Oh, it hasn't popped me yet.
It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 back.
Oh, the debate holds no grounds.
Mm-hmm.
If you give no reason for any, it's useless. That's more of a statement than a question.
That's a freebie. That's a free one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, there's a guy on TikTok that'll tell you how tall anybody is. So you can just go there and ask him the height of people, and he'll answer your questions.
Well, I'm losing these questions as quick as I'm finding them. I've got one conservative Christian for Mike. Is this the one that you just did?
No. Oh, yes.
Oh,
If reason argument is...
I finally found it.
Thanks.
Oh, Q&A is just falling apart. What's happening is
everybody decided to ask their question right before we wrap up Q&A.
I know, right? Oh, I got a question for Mike. Does reason not get to the truth? And what is the evidence you need that gets you to the truth?
Yeah, sure. Of course, reason can get to the truth if it's backed by evidence that's demonstrable, verifiable, falsifiable evidence. That's the evidence we need. Anything that we can verify. I mean, yeah, repeatable. I mean, how else would you know things if you can't verify them? I mean, if you have a better way than science, please let us know. We'd love to know that method. But until then, that's the best way.
Can you verify that statement with science?
Yes, based on on its ability to produce reliable results.
Can you verify the statement that we need science for knowledge with science?
I didn't say that. I
That
never
is
said we
that
need
is
science.
that is what the best. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's the best available method we have to us, but I never said we needed it.
Okay, so can you use science to come to that for that statement to be true?
Sure. We can use science and show that, hey, it gets us phones, it gets us tablets, computers, it works, right? That's evidence that science works.
No, I'm not asking that. The statement, science is the best way to know, cannot be put through the scientific method. So you're self-refuting with that statement.
Is there a better way?
I never said it's the only way. Of course, there could be better ways to getting the truth. I never said that's the only way. But according to our observations, it is the best available method to us right now.
Okay, I'm not going to beat a dead horse.
I got a question from TJ for Eddie. What is a brute fact and brute contingency?
Brute fact, from what I understand, is it's just it's irreducible. It exists as a fact. Well, I mean, someone would argue that the universe is a brute fact. It just exists as it just necessarily exists. It just exists as it is. It's a fact of life. It's basically a stopping point when you're doing when you're reasoning for things in the world. Some people will say that objective morality, it's just a brute fact based on normative ethics that people know right from wrong, things of that nature. So brute contingency, I'm not sure about brute contingency, or if that would be just it is a brute fact that contingency exists. I guess would be.
Well, and I've got, I think, one more question that we'll field, and then we'll wrap up Q&A. Although we do still have lots and lots of great questions in there that I've been rifling through. Atheist Frank, I really like this question. Atheist Frank has a question for everybody. Thoughts on Stephen Law's evil God hypothesis? He uses theodicies.
Theodicies, yeah.
Theodicies show an evil God exists by answering the problem of good. Now, I want to make a quick statement here. I'm not really familiar with Stephen Laws, but after reading the Bible, one of the first things that I kind of thought of was the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing everybody he was God.
Or that he didn't exist.
God's actions in the Bible compared to Satan's actions in the Bible, I would say that according to the Bible, if you take it all literally, it would be God that would be the evil one. And take it from there, gentlemen.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
Who? Stephen Law?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
I think if there is a God, I'm not familiar with this argument, but with the problem of evil, I think if there is a God and that God turns out to be the Christian God, based on the actions of the Bible being true, I would say he's a dick and not deserving of worship.
I think you're
Eddie, what do you think about all that?
I think
he can do everything except for defeat Satan in a way that gives us free will.
I think you're a dick.
Well, yes, I am. That's how I.
Oh God, that means you're God.
I have always claimed to be God, and I am God.
I'm not a fan of Stephen Law. I've talked to him several times. He's not very nice to talk to. But I would
talk to.
thank you. I would say the evil God hypothesis is not tenable because if God is the source of our moral oughts and duties, to say that God is could do evil things would to say that God could do that which is contrary to his nature. So I think it's a contradiction and not tenable. But that'll get into grounding of morality and all of that. And I will concede any point somebody wants to make. I'm not getting into that tonight. So
Fair enough. Mike, you got any comments in there?
No, well, I agree. If God does, if the God of the Bible does exist, he would be evil relative to our morality that we've set up for society, for sure.
He's a dick.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for stopping by the Murder Shed, where answers get questioned.
wow, I survived.
Looking for a new and challenging opportunity? Do you have previous landscaping, mortuary, or medical experience? Are you available to work flexible hours, including nights and weekends? Are you ready to get involved in a business where you can simply make a killing? If you answered yes to these questions, then the Murder Shed Steve Intern Program wants to hear from you. Registration for the 2021 season is now underway. Contact us today for an information package to get you started. Many valuable perks are available for those willing to reach out and grab them. Qualified participants must agree to have street epistemology applied to anything they say.
Well, ladies, gentlemen, everybody that's been involved, thank you very much. And Eddie, I'm just waiting for the backstage footage where Eddie was running his fingers through Mike's hair and vice versa through the beard. That's really what's going to blow your minds.
That's
really
that's
what's gonna blow
private.
your- So the awesome part is we get a bunch of awesome debate challenges in the chat tonight. Like other people like debate me on this, debate me on that. So just know our calendar is filling by the day. We would gladly host a debate as long as you're going to put the work in and you're ready to go, and you want to do it and make it worth everybody's while to do it. But first thing I want to do is do one more round because we have a bunch of people that are here now that weren't here at the beginning. So I always want to be fair to those that participate. So quickly, Mike, tell us what you got going on, where everybody can find you, that sort of thing before we log off.
Yeah, so my name is Mike. I'm on TikTok.
He does need
Find me
one.
there.
I think it went well.
He doesn't know he's not.
I can still hear you guys talking. But anyway, my name is Mike on TikTok.
They didn't have me
You guys can find
muted. They
there.
heard me.
I've got videos up all the time on there. I enjoy talking about this stuff. I enjoy being on the show all the time. And hopefully we'll have more debates in the future. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, they can't get that, Joe.
There. Thank you guys. That's it.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming on again. Eddie, what's going on with you, man?
Sorry about
And
that.
and everybody, make sure you mute your damn mics.
Yeah, no. Sorry about that, Mike. Oz wasn't doing his job. He's supposed to mute everybody.
No, you didn't do your job.
See, there you go. You still didn't do it again. Everybody, thanks, to the TART crew. Thanks, Mike, for this. I really had a good time. You guys can find me at Brute Facts Podcast on YouTube Live. I usually simultaneously stream it on my Facebook at Eddie Kroom Edwards, and I'm on TikTok as Pasta's Secret Weapon. That's it. Why are we sitting here looking at me? Thanks, Oz. I know. I knew what you were doing.
All right. No, thank you guys. And just Jeff, the one and only atheist troll live. You can find him on TikTok. And Jesus may love you, but he does not. He does not. And I already went through our schedule, so I won't do that again. But appreciate everybody's been in the chat tonight. Thank you so very much. And I know we had Shannon Q, T Jump, Puck was in the house, J Mike was in the house, Richard Madsen, and I'm probably going to forget a bunch of people that's on there. But we appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. And I will create a separate stream on a different channel if you guys want to talk about, because a lot of what I saw in the chat was God's existence, the existence of a God. If there are people that want to have that conversation and be respectful and it'd be cool, I will create a stream on a separate channel, and we can do that. Just email me, austin@tart.live. I have no problem creating that. But what I will not do is create it and it be a shit show. I'm not interested in that. I want it to be cool and everybody to, like I said, be respectful, be calm, and be able to have fun, and have that conversation. But again, austin@tart.live if you want to do that. If not, just no skin off my back. I'll just offer that.
I want to say something real quick, Oz.
Oh,
That
God.
that show the other night with everybody on there, that was awesome, man. You guys have got to do that again. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was fun. I feel like everybody's very respectful. And yeah, that was cool. And I'll just say, I went to bed, which I don't sleep very much anyway, but I went to bed at like 5 or 6 a.m., whatever it was. And I got up and some of y'all sons of bitches were still in the backstage feed.
When I had to tap out, I don't know how late they kept going.
No, I got out of bed and looked, and they was still in there, and I was like, "Damn!"
Wow, that's why we haven't seen them. They're all still asleep.
Exactly. So, no, everybody's involved tonight. We appreciate it, and Murder Shed Steve, thanks for jumping in and helping with the Q's and the A's. And like I said, if you guys want to do that, let me know. We'll create that feed. If not, it's all good. But do know that for New Year's Eve, we are going to do that feed. And if people show up, cool. If they don't, it's all good. But I did get several messages where people were kind of bummed because they couldn't go out and couldn't do things. And I wanted to at least be able to create a space where we could have that community and chop it up if need be. So other than that, I think we're good to go. And now I see Jeff nodding his head, so I'm just delaying because he's nodding his head. But no, thank you. The Atheist Roundtable, another TART live debate night. Appreciate you guys. Peace out.